Hello everybody and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the Outback Al.
I'm hot for justice.
I'm Chibi Noob.
And I'm Envy Jitters.
And it's no longer the Shonen Showdown. Yeah, we're taking it easy this week. We're taking it easy maybe for a few weeks. We don't know. We were watching a lot of stuff and recording a whole lot of stuff and now, you know what? Things are just easy. How's everybody feeling now post-tournament arc?
It feels less like I'm having to like really study something and more like I get to just sit back and kind of enjoy it.
Right?
Sort of.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice. Maybe we'll do another tournament at some point. Maybe in the next 3 years. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe next year. We'll see. Maybe we just start every year with a tournament and see how things go from there. But, no, what did we watch this week? We went back to an old favorite, or an old classic. I don't know if this is everybody's favorite. I think we've actually had some people in the group who said, like, this was one of their least favorite anime before.
Ooh.
Cheer and Cosplay.
Yeah,
Oh.
Homura herself.
Yeah. Homura hates this show. It's Madoka Magica. It's kind of ironic that we ended up casting someone who did not like the show as the person that the show kind of shits on the most a little bit.
Yeah, I guess that is a little bit ironic.
Yeah. So, it's the first. We're going to be spending a couple weeks looking at Madoka because that's a special show for us. This is episode 1 through 4. I want to ask around real quick because we've all seen this before. How many times have you guys watched this show?
This is my second time watching it. I haven't watched it since the first time I watched it back in 2013.
This is maybe, I want to say, my third time watching it.
It's my second time watching it. It's been like 9, maybe 10 years since I watched it the first time.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. This is actually, believe it or not, this is my second time watching this show.
Well, officially, with all the times you've had to cut clips together for the abridged series.
Yeah, I don't really count something as, me watching it unless I'm, actually watching it, the whole way through or something. I mean, unless it's, a really, really long anime or TV show where it's just, okay, I'm kind of coming out a little bit here and there. But, yeah, I think the first time I watched this all the way through was, it's actually interesting. We were in an anime club when we watched this in, 2013. And I sat and I watched the first 3 episodes.
Yep.
And then, because I was also in that other club, I had to go and run, a projector and some movie stuff every week. And, it was unfortunate it was at the same time as Anime Club, so I didn't always get to, stick around to watch some certain things. So I watched the first 3 episodes, saw, 10 minutes, 10 minutes of somewhere in the middle of the show, and I showed up right in the latter half of episode 12. And that was my experience with Madoka, and then we started making an abridged series out of it. So
in other words, you pretty much came in when the Evangelion part came in.
I mean, no spoilers right now, but yes. I actually did not watch this show all the way through until after we already had episode 2 up. So, that was interesting. It was interesting to learn a few things, but yeah. So, should we go over what happened?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Madoka has a bad dream. We all know Madoka. I don't even know that I need to explain this story. I feel like everyone on our channel has seen this show at one point or another.
Yeah.
We meet Madoka. She's a pink-haired middle school girl who likes being plain-ass white bread protagonist vibes. She has loving parents who are present in her life.
Yep.
Fucking crazy right there. What else? Yeah, she has friends, and there's a new girl in class, and the new girl in class is mysterious because she's a transfer student, and we're hitting all the tropes today. And then they go to the mall, and it's very slice of lifey, but then they find a creature who can talk to them telepathically and get sucked into a weird, like, serial killer magazine cutout, like, hellscape. And there's monsters, and then a blonde chick shows up, kills all the monsters, and then she gets into a verbal sparring match with Homura, the new girl. And she's like, hey, guess what? I'm your mentor now. My name's Mammy, and you kids are going to be magical girls. And the little rabbit-eared cat creature is like, I make a contract. I'm going to be a magic girl. And then we move into episode 2, where we're discussing the backstory of all that. You know, there's magical girls in this world, and they're made from wishes. You know, you make a contract with QB, and you get a soul gem, and then you fight wishes, and he grants a wish for you. And then but you got to fight witches, because witches are made from curses, and curses are bad, and all sorts of bad things happen. And yeah, and then they go fight one. Because, you know, they gotta, like, yeah, you gotta see this, because this is a big, like, decision you're gonna make in your life, and you don't want to jump into this not knowing who all the details are. So they go do that. They save a lady from jumping off a building. Then they fight a scissor tree thing. Describing these monsters with words as opposed to visuals must have been, like, the most difficult thing for the production team.
It's a scissor tree stomach with roses.
Yes.
There you go.
Sure. Whatever you said. Anyway, they do that. We find out about grief seeds, how they're special magic items or cursed items or whatever that help you recharge your magic powers and all that good stuff. Then episode 3 comes along. We see a little bit more about Mammy, and Sayaka's backstory is a little bit how Sayaka has a friend in the hospital who's having a bad time, and Mammy, Mommy, whatever you want to call her. I don't know why we decided on the way we decided on calling Mommy Mammy, but whatever. I think it was because I read it that way, because we were like watching it in subbed, and I was just like, I'll just call it that. Yeah, we find out vaguely that she was in a car accident and had to use her wish to survive. And then we go to the hospital again to see Hurt Kid, and there's a witch there, and they gotta stop the witch. And so they enter the witch's labyrinth. It's a lair, it's thing, and they go get Mommy, and she comes back, and we don't need to talk about it after that point. And then we move on to episode 4, after the thing. You know the thing. We all know the thing. And people are starting to have some second guesses about, you know, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. This might actually, like, be a very terrible thing for us to do with our lives. And Madoka kind of runs into Homer, and she's like, hey, so I don't think I want to be a magical girl. And Homer's like, good. Keep that state of mind. You know, there's clearly something deeper going on with her, but we don't know yet. We know, but we don't know at this point in the show. Anywho, Madoka runs into their friend Hitomi. Hey, you remember Hitomi? Because she never got a line? She gets lines in this one. And I think there was a reason that I couldn't come up with a joke for her. Yeah, she joins a cult run by a witch or whatever, and they're all gonna commit suicide in a factory. But Madoka puts the kibosh on that by throwing the chemicals out. But then she gets caught by the witch, and then we find out Sayaka gave her wish to her not boyfriend in the hospital to fix his hand so that she could be also be a magical girl and he could be happy and healed and whatnot. And she kills the witch, and now she's a magical girl, so she's in it. And then we get introduced to a character. I don't know who that character is. Never seen that redhead before in my life. Anywho, that's Madoka 1 through 4. Been very vague about stuff. What do we think? I don't know. Do we want to go around like we did with the tournament thing, or do we just kind of want to do this freeform?
I'd say it'd be easier to do like we did with the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it'll keep us more on track and kind of keep us from also like talking over each other. So.
Okay, all right. Do you guys want me to start with plot, or does anyone else have like a pressing thing they'd like to bring up?
Go for it.
Not really.
Okay, so all I gotta say about plot is that I saw this coming a mile away, and it's not because this is the second time I watched this. The first time I watched this, and you guys were there, you remember episode 1, after we met QB, I was like, this guy's a bad guy.
Yes, I do remember you saying
You were also
that.
the only one in club that wasn't shocked about the you-know-what in episode 3.
Yep. I was seriously sitting there with the rest of you guys around me, and I'm like, I saw QB, I'm like, okay, that thing's evil, it has devil eyes, I don't trust it. And everyone else was going like, no, he's an adorable mascot, shut up, Al, you don't know what you're talking about. And then in episode 2, where they're mentioning, you in a single scene, they say the word granting wishes, souls, soul gems, and contract. I'm like, this is a Faustian bargain with a devil-eyed creature. This guy's a bad guy. And everyone's like, no, Al, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Just watch it. It's just a fun show. It's just a fun show. And then episode 3 starts, and we're hearing Mammy's backstory. And I'm like, okay, you are clearly being set up to die. She's going to die very soon.
I'm also...
And everyone's like, shut up, Al. You're ruining everything. And then she dies, and I walked out because I was like, I was right. I'm going to go show people a movie.
Wait, I have a question.
I think it might partially be because people were trying to, like, not have the fun spoiled because someone else was, like, saying, pointing out things and like, no, stop! We haven't gotten to episode 3!
I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying I saw this coming a mile away. I had never seen or heard of the show up to that point.
I believe our president had actually seen the show prior to us watching it, so I think said president was trying to keep it a surprise.
I was just about to ask that, like, was this everyone in the club's first time watching it? Because I wasn't there when you guys watched it.
It was my first time.
It was my first time watching it as well.
As far as I'm aware, it was everybody's first time except maybe the president's.
Yeah, because I do remember... said president, I think I remember them saying it was that the show was like, it's a good show, giving me kind of saying like, they had previously watched it prior to actually watching it in club, so.
Yeah, I watched it on my own when I was in like high school, so like I don't. Yeah.
So I gotta ask, because from outside perspective for me, the Envy, Chibs, were you surprised that people died and all that shit went down?
I mean, not really.
I'll talk more about it when I talk about plot.
So my whole thing with that is like, yeah, I wasn't really surprised. I was kind of like, this took a bit of a turn, but was I really surprised? No. I honestly thought it would get darker and darker as it went on, but not for the turn to be so drastic.
Okay.
Because I was thinking more of a gradual tone shift, not a very drastic tone shift. Because it goes from sort of cutesy to being like, whoa, what the hell just happened? In like the span of a song... for the ED, where it starts off being like real cute, typical sort of magical girl kind of stuff, but then also it going like to Magia from Calafina, and that kind of shows the tone shift there, but also just kind of like, I think when I was looking up this show, I like sort of briefly went on Wikipedia just to see like the genre that we would be watching, and I saw that it said seinen, and I was like, okay, that's a bit interesting, because typically magical girl shows are shoujo, whereas...
It's in the title.
Yeah, whereas like seinen shows are typically meant for males ages 18 to 30. So I was like, so this is more for an older demographic. This could potentially be quite different from what a typical magical girl show I would expect to be. So.
Yeah, I'll talk more about my experience when I get into my plot section. You want to finish?
You can do it if you want. I mean, I've said my bits. I don't. Gav would like to go next, or Chibi, if you have more to say.
Yeah, why don't you go first?
Chibi, you can go if you have more to say right now since you were already talking.
No, I actually said you. Since we're going in order.
What?
I already said, why don't you go?
What?
My Discord was cutting out.
Oh. Oh, okay. Well, honestly, I don't really remember my thoughts the very first time watching it because I was probably like 16 when I watched it, and now I'm like 25. So it was a while ago. I was in high school, and these like people in my orchestra class that I really looked up to that were like cosplayers had cosplayed Madoka, and I was like, oh, I've seen this on, like, one of them like had it on Tumblr when it was like reblogging stuff, and I was like, oh, I should watch this since it's really popular right now. And I think I knew that it was like dark just from like seeing bits and pieces of it like on the internet. But yeah, I don't think I expected it to like get dark that quickly. Definitely not within like the third episode. Like, I was kind of like, oh, well, that just happened. And yeah, but that's all I can really remember from then. Like, it's hard to like say much else on my first thoughts because it was so long ago. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it because I watched it and I'm watching it again. And I like was pretty into it for a while. Like, it was one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't really know what like specifically to say about plot. It feels like more like we're just talking about like our like first thoughts on it. So,
I mean,
maybe
yeah.
maybe I'll have more to say later. I don't know, but
So, my thoughts are, well, it is really nice to go back and sort of rewatch something that, like, kind of got me a little more into anime than I was when, like, I was in high school, because when I got into Anime Club, I think it was kind of more the first time that I was, like, really, you know, sitting down to, like, watch anime with, like, a group of people. Because prior to that, yeah, I had a lot of friends who watched anime, but I never really watched anime with other people. It was just always kind of like me at the computer watching the subs go across the screen as I'm watching the videos on YouTube. But I don't know, it was just kind of a nice experience to like enjoy a show with other people, especially like considering there were a good number of us who were all just sort of watching it for the first time. Honestly, as I was going back and rewatching it all for the first 3 episodes, all I could think about was like the abridged series, and I was like, this line was said here, this was done here, this is where we replaced the tomatoes with weed.
Yep.
And I was just kind of laughing at it the whole time, so it was fun. I was really enjoying myself.
Yes, I was kind of, whenever we were doing the tournament and like we were getting to some of the series that I have seen abridged versions of, especially Dragon Ball Z, I was like, oh, I remember all the jokes that were here.
Yeah. It was interesting. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I liked it, and I'm continuing to watch it. And I'm continuing to watch it now because this is probably like one of my favorite shows, even though I've only watched it a couple times. I will say that it's definitely always something that I like. When I think about an anime or a magical girl show, like, this is one of the first things that like pops into my head. So to say that it's definitely left an impact on me would be a bit of an understatement. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Envy?
Well, for me, take me, but like I may have mentioned this on the podcast before when we first started, when you guys first introduced me, but when I first watched this in 2013 in the anime club, I was like as newbie to anime as you can imagine. Like, yeah, I technically watched Pokemon, but I didn't even consider that an anime. I just thought that was just a cartoon from Cartoon Network. I didn't think that was an anime. So like, imagine one of the first anime I watch was thinking a magical girl show, because I did hear Sailor Moon, and I thought it was going to be another, Sailor Moon type show where it was, girly stuff and, power, friendship, and all that stuff. And so, first 2 episodes, it was a little darker than Sailor Moon, but I was like, you know what, fine, this is cute, these, power, friendship, power, believing, all that stuff. And then the episode 3 twist happened, and, to say that caught everybody but Al off guard would be an understatement. I never heard of the show going in. I had no idea what to expect. And so when that happened, literally the entire dynamic and tone of the show changed. I think that's what's so great about the plot of the show, is that, yeah, it has a lot of familiar elements, but I hate this term because it's so negative nowadays, but it really subverts expectations, but in a good way. You think it's going to be one type of show, and then it's an entirely different thing altogether. And I think the plot, yeah, it starts off pretty standard, but again, it just goes in a direction that you don't expect, and then later on it keeps adding on to that in a way that makes sense. So yeah, I would give a yay to the plot, and I imagine all the rest of us are a yay to the plot as well.
I think the plot's a little bit basic, like you're saying in like the beginning. The big thing, you're right, is the plot twist. And I think, like, I remember reading something, I do not remember where, but like the guy who wrote this, Generabuchi,
he's Fate Zero.
Fate Zero, Psycho Pass, a couple other things I can't remember off the top of my head. He's kind of known for killing people pretty badly. Like, his nickname is Genera Butcher. And, like, people were familiar with his work, knew that he was on this show, and they're like, why, like, okay, when is it gonna turn bad? When is it gonna, like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? And, like, apparently, for, like, the marketing and stuff, he had, like, gone out of his way to be like, guys, I am just making a magical girl show, okay? I just want to make one show where it's not like I'm killing people and murdering and like having all these terrible. I'm just gonna make a fun show, and like up until I don't know if like Twitter was happening at that point, but like 2010, I think Twitter came out, but I don't know if it was as big as it is now.
No, Twitter was out at least before that.
Yeah,
Twitter was like out by 2007.
Was it?
I thought
it was no, that was Facebook.
No, Twitter was around like 2007, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
really?
Facebook was earlier than that.
Yeah, Facebook was 2004. It's just that...
I mean when it like blew up.
Oh, blew up. That was probably like around 2011 or something. Like 2010, 2011 was when Twitter
2010, 2011 is when I think like Twitter really started to become big. Like Facebook, I feel like really became big in like 2007, 2008. But yeah, this came out in 2010, so that would have been right about the time that Twitter was getting big. It might have been like on his Twitter or something that like the night of episode 3, he was like, guys, I'm serious. I am just making a magical girl show. No other shoe is going to drop. Like he was like going to the very last minute trying to be like, keep the surprise going. And like as soon as it happened, everyone was like, we knew it. And he's like, yeah, you knew it. You knew what I was going to do. So I just find that kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's just okay. I don't know if this has to do with plot. Just like it's just in my head right now because like, did you guys watch till the post-credits stuff? Like after the ending, did you guys like see the little bump cards with the audio for the next episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can anyone explain to me, because I've seen, no one seems to be able to figure it out, why is Lord Humongous at the end of episode 2? Did anyone else see that? Lord Humongous, the bad guy from Mad Max 2, the Road Warrior, is just it's just they all look like fan art at the end. End of episode 2, it's Madoka, Homura, Sayaka, Mami, and Kyuubi, and off to the side, it's just Lord Humongous with his hockey mask and just pecs.
I must have not been paying attention.
Dude, look it up. Google it right now. You'll find it everywhere. And everyone's like, I don't no idea why this is here. I saw like one person trying on the internet, well, in Mad Max they're like fighting over like fuel, and in episode 2 they're kind of explaining how magical girls fight over fuel. One was like petroleum, and one was like grief seeds, and someone else was like, well, you know, it might just be a joke because Lord Humongous showed up in Mad Mag 2, which like I don't know. I really like, I don't know if there's like some interview somewhere where Geto Ibuchi said, yeah, we put Lord Humongous at the end of this because this. I'm like, yeah, it's weird. You don't think about it until you have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's very out of place.
Know why?
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe that was the tip off that next episode things were going to get bad.
Maybe.
Episode 3 is Thunderdome. I don't know. I don't even know if that has anything to do with plot. It's just I find it interesting. Should we move on to something else? Does anyone else have anything to talk about plot?
Not particularly.
All right. Who's our favorite characters from this, everybody?
Well, that's our next section, characters.
Yeah. In order? Again?
I mean, we can if you guys want.
Might as well.
Sure. So wouldn't that make it your turn, Gav?
Oh, are we taking turns?
I think
so. If we're doing it exactly like we have been for the past couple of weeks, yeah. Unless
Okay.
we do want to go freeform.
I'll talk, I guess. My favorite character, you don't know who that is.
That's right, we haven't met her yet.
Yeah, you haven't met her yet. I don't know what you're talking about.
I really don't know what you're talking about. I thought our whole cast was here. Well, maybe not all. Maybe not anymore.
No.
One person's gone.
No.
Yeah. So I don't really know what to say without like. I mean, it's not spoilers if you've seen Madoka, but it's spoilers if you don't want to. If you're being like this way because of the abridged series, like, I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about her?
Dude, you're allowed to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I talked about Lord Humongous for 2 minutes.
I mean, she showed up at the end of the one episode for like a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can talk about her from that. That's not a spoiler.
Well, I'll just say she's my favorite character. That's about it. I mean, out of Madoka and Sayaka and Mami and Homura, I don't really know which I like out of those 4. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like Mami's a favorite of like most people, but like the first time I watched Madoka, I'm gonna get so much hate for this, but like I didn't really like Mami, for reasons that you'll see later once we continue watching this.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I didn't love her in these either. Like, she has a very compelling backstory, but she also kind of comes off kind of like bossy.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, I don't want to say like she's not nice, but it almost kind of seems a little forced.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think that, like, from these episodes, it's kind of like she's trying a little too hard to be, like, a mentor. And she even, like, admits it in, like, episode 3. She's kind of like, I am not, like, as awesome as you think I am. And when she's having that heartfelt moment with Madoka before the witch shows up. And yeah, I remember the first time I watched it really liking, I think, Sayaka out of the 4. But like, and yeah, I think I still liked Sayaka a good bit. It was weird though because like I haven't seen this in so long. All I've seen since has been like your abridged series, and which made me dislike Sayaka quite a bit.
Wow.
When in like the actuality,
attacking my writing there.
When in the actuality, like I had really liked her in the in the show, but. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, that's... For, like, characters, I think Madoka's, like, kind of boring at first because that's, she's supposed to be kind of, like...
She's super white bread.
Yeah. She's stereotypical.
She's whiter than the bread that she eats when she's running out the door.
Yeah, she's a bit stereotypical. And then, Homura, it's kind of like... She's mysterious, so it makes you want to know more about her, but, like, we don't get all of that yet. It's very hard to talk about this show without talking about spoilers, I realize.
It is.
Like, when you've seen it before. So, yeah. But, I mean, I think the characters are all likable in their own ways. Like, they're pretty different from each other, which I think is good. Like, you have, like, a pretty, like, it's diverse in its personalities, which is always a plus. Like, I mean, it's kind of like that with a lot of things with, like, tropes of different characters. But, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about characters, I think, without, like, giving stuff away, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So I think for me, for my favorite characters for this, like, I generally, and I don't know why this is, like, generally for most shows that I watch, like, I don't really have characters that I really don't like. Like, I tend to, like, find things about characters that I like, even if they're, like, villains, or say they're a villain, and the thing is like, I do dislike said villain. Like, I find that if it's a villain that I'm meant to really dislike, like, they've done horrible things, like, to make me dislike them, yeah, like, you're doing a good job of writing a villain, which is why, in a way, I also sort of like said villain. For these characters with this show, I will say, like, I like most, if not all of them. Like, and I like them all for different reasons. I think my favorite, though, even with, like, it only being the first 4 episodes, like, I think my character, even though she is white bread, my favorite character was Madoka, even from the start.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, like, for some reason, I think, like, she resonates with me a little bit because I kind of feel the same way that she does about a lot of things, especially about myself. So it's kind of like, oh, this girl is someone I can kind of really relate to. So I think that's kind of why she became my favorite, even, like, right from the beginning. Homer was a real cool character. Like, at first she was, like, kind of mysterious, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to see what they do with her, and, how they expand out her character as to, like, why she's like this. Mommy was cool. I thought Mommy was real sweet. She's a cool mentor sort of character. Sayaka, kind of a funny, cool friend. you know. I found her, like, her kindness towards Kamijo, very sweet. And then Kyoko, when she showed up after these, like, first 4 episodes, I was like, whoo, okay, now we got another one. I feel like things are going to get interesting. So, but yeah, like, personally, I really do like this show's characters. I like how, with her parents, they kind of make the dynamic where, well, kind of like the opposite of the standard in Japan, where, the husband's the one who goes to work and the mother's the one who's at home, doing, like, the housework. Where Madoka's mom in this one is a businesswoman and the dad's the one at home, taking care of the tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
He makes great tomatoes.
He does. I just found that to be, like, kind of refreshing, especially because it's kind of an interesting dynamic that it shows that Madoka's close with both of her parents, because, like, the dad's, like, actually there to have a relationship with its kids. So, and they even get, like, that nice little, part in, like, episode 3 where they're talking about, like, what mom's dreams were and, like, why she works for this company, even though, like, she goes through a lot of stress dealing with this company and, like, she doesn't necessarily like it. But it just kind of shows, like, how maybe a typical family sort of relationship, or at least a close one, would be, rather than the normal one that we're so used to in anime, where the parents are just absentee, or it's just the mom that's around, and the kids obviously have a very, like, close relationship with the mom, where the dad, it's a typical thing where the relationship with the father, if not, like, non-existent, is very strained in anime. So I felt like that was, like, a nice little thing to have in this show that was kind of like, oh, it's refreshing. Anyway, those are my opinions on characters.
I'll say for me, my favorite character overall is Homura, but it's mainly for the development that she gets in the later half of the series. But I will say for the characters right now, I like them. I understand where you're coming from, Chibi, with Madoka. Yeah, she's kind of, the protagonist that you would normally expect. But keep in mind, too, if you're any age, I don't care if you're middle schooler or not, if you're middle-aged, and then all of a sudden you find a talking cat-looking thing and magical witches that can spawn from weird psychedelic labyrinths, and you can get any wish your heart desires, but then you become a magical girl, I'd ask a lot of questions too, and I'd get pretty concerned too. So yeah, I definitely get where she comes for, like, maybe her trepidation and stuff like that. And Saika, is the, your good best friend, and obviously she gets a lot more development later on, but she gets, like, a little mini arc in the beginning where in episode 4 she decides to become a magical girl to help Kyosuke, her crush, fix his hand because he was a musical prodigy that he couldn't get any feeling in his hands after an accident. So she used her wish to help him out. Whether or not that helps her in the long run, we'll find out. But it shows some development with her. Mami, I can kind of understand why people would like her and hate her. She's obviously very kind to Madoka and Sayaka, helping her, explain the rules and stuff. But like what QB said earlier, magical girls tend to be competitive, and obviously we get that competitiveness with Homura, as well as, other things that we may find out about them later on. And yeah, she acts bitchy to Homura, and so you get that dynamic with her. And then Homura, as far as these 4 episodes are concerned, it's mainly, with Mami, on the other hand, you get, somewhat encouragement to become a magical girl, but then you get Homer on the other hand. It's like, yeah, don't become a magical girl. Like, we know why Homer tells her that later, but for now, we assume it's because, yeah, if you become a magical girl, you can die horribly. And, Homer gives us that other perspective of, yeah, don't become a magical girl. You'll die. So, The only character I probably didn't care too much about was probably Hitome, because she doesn't really get that much development at all in the series.
She doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't come up with a joke for her, so the whole joke was she never speaks.
Yeah, I mean...
That's how little of a character she has right now.
Yeah, she's somewhat homophobic. What? Girls can't like other girls? Or like, I know it's Japan, but like, come again? But, and then later on in the series, she serves another purpose, which is kind of a bitch move, if you ask me. So, and yeah, the mom and the dad, yeah, are very supportive and very loving, and yeah, and then of course, I have to give you props, Al, for both your writing and your voice for the teacher, because you're writing and jokes for her.
The voice is terrible.
Series.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
That was literally a placeholder voice. We should have found someone else to do it.
I don't know. It made perfect sense for me. The way that the way that you made her sound and wrote her was not too far off from what she talks about in the actual show. So I don't know. I just thought that was like, I know you probably didn't intend it to be that, but I thought that was pretty funny. So overall, I'm a big fan.
You know what? Whatever you think that my intentions were, that's exactly it. Make me seem smarter than I actually am. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Overall, I'm a very high with the characters. High A with the characters right now. Very high. I'm talking to Madoka's dad too much.
Well, he's got the good shit. I think of our core group for these episodes, probably, I think I like Sayaka the most, because she just, I think she just has the most drive to do anything.
Yeah.
And I like characters with some initiative. Madoka is a touch on the passive side, and I think it's a little, makes me a little you're a touch boring. I mean, she is nice, and she has interests and stuff like that, and all that's great, and she does do stuff in episode 4, but for most of these episodes, she's just kind of observing, and I don't love that. So, but yeah, Sayaka's moving and doing stuff, and she's running in with a fire extinguisher. Yeah, okay. She brought it back because she's yeah, let's go fight some stuff. I'm like, you know what? Cool. I'm actually kind of sad that I made everyone hate her, but.
Well, I think a lot of people who've actually watched the abridged series say they do really like her voice. They find her very funny.
I mean, that's the idea.
And the thing is I do enjoy her portrayal in the abridged series, because it is just kind of you have that one friend who is just constantly talking nonstop, and it just kind of reminds me of Sayaka's exactly that friend, just constantly talking. Honestly, though, I feel the reason, and I guess, I don't know. For me, I guess
think
because
part of why people I have gotten occasional comments or something where people don't like Sayaka. I think it's just because I made her talk too much.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I will definitely.
Some of it gets a little rambly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Madoka is a bit passive, but I kind of enjoy having a sort of a protagonist that is sort of on the passive side, because you don't usually get that sort of perspective from a protagonist, and I think maybe that's why I like her for that. But anyway,
I don't know. I feel like I've dropped some anime because they've had kind of leads where they're just kind of and to be fair, usually it's an anime that has maybe a poor adaptation of some sort of game or something that was kind of I usually find it in characters that are supposed to be self-insert. Madoka feels in these episodes, at least in the first 2, even the 3rd episode, feels like a very self-insert character. I'm not gonna say I hate her, because later on in the series she does learn, grow, and Gen Urobuchi I don't think writes bad characters ever. So, I think part of why I didn't like Madoka in these first couple episodes was just because part of it was the bait and switch. It's supposed to look like your generic cutesy milquetoast protagonist. and then something bad happens, and like really bad, and then it kind of flips it on its head. So I think, like, as we're gonna keep watching, I think she'll get better. I think everyone's gonna get better, other than one, because she's dead. But, you know.
But even then, we learn stuff about her later on in flashbacks.
Yeah. Outside of that, like, probably weirdly enough, and you know, I don't know if this was reflected in my own stuff, but I found the adults the most interesting characters in these, because, like, I don't know, I guess I'm getting little snippets of their lives, like, especially Mom and the teacher, that I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You're now trying to take over and become CEO of your company. Also, your love life sounds like every reality dating show I've ever heard of. And, like, I kind of just want to go and have a drink with both of you and just hear your stories. And
yeah, they're interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dad had something going on as well. Maybe not a drug trade or something, but something. But yeah, so they were fun. Yeah, I think that's about it that I got for that. I don't know. I'm liking everybody well enough so far who's survived. Homer is interesting. What's really interesting is, like, rewatching this, knowing what I know later, and like picking up on little things that they were dropping early on. I won't go into a lot of detail about it, but like, yeah, I always like appreciate that kind of thing, that kind of like forethought to like, and you know, you're gonna have to have forethought in this because this was a very small series. This was a very limited thing, so they were gonna definitely like throw in little hints at stuff, foreshadowing and whatnot, and little like, oh, when they said that, oh my god, I didn't realize. We didn't get a ton of those, but like there was a few that they kind of like dropped here and there.
I mean, the line that Homer says, "Stay who you are," that's gonna become big.
Forever.
Yeah, that's gonna be big
Yeah,
later
that's
on.
huge. Oh, one thing that I don't know if this was a mistake. I watched the dub. I don't know if this was what happened as the same in the sub, but episode 4, Sayaka and Kyosuke are listening to some music, and she says that they're listening to Debussy, but then why is the picture on the thing, Bach? I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they just screwed that up.
No, so in the...
I didn't actually check the music to see if it was Debussy.
So in the original, it is also Debussy as well. I'm not sure if it was just the fact that they're like, oh, we need to draw someone who looks like a composer, so they went with Bach.
It just seems like here's the thing, and like we could talk about this in art and stuff, but like I feel like this show is very well detailed, and I credit some of that to Genrobuchi, I credit some of that to Shaft, like the details in the art and in the writing and sort of stuff, like it's very meticulous. It just feels weird that they kind of made a mistake like that. I don't know. That's just me, because like I don't think we need to talk about world building. Well, we could. I don't know. But I kind of wanted to like talk like the art and stuff. Like I love all the backgrounds and stuff in this. I think these are fantastic. Like, just like the characters are fine. They're a little basic, but you know they're cute and pleasing to the eye and whatnot. But I really love all the background and like the architecture and the landscapes and like even the witch layers and all the little detail. I think this is just, I think like the background work is like some of the best I've seen in anime in this show. Like I don't know if anyone else feels like that. Like who has a hospital room like Kyosuke does? You guys look at that room.
Yeah.
It's like a ballroom with like bookshelves all the way to the ceiling against the wall and like tapestries and shit. I'm like, I don't know if this is like some upper class rich people world that I have like will never see in my life, or is this just like, I don't know.
So Mitakihara is definitely like one of those upper scale, like kind of like really nice areas of a city.
I got that.
I mean, look
like,
at the classrooms.
No,
part of me is
kind of like, this might just be kind of set in the future a little bit. Like when I was in high school, I was in high school before you guys, but like we had smart boards at the time that could kind of do like, you kind of see the details. Like when Homer writes her name, it's kind of pixelated because it's that smart board thing. We had those. They weren't great. They didn't always track the pen super well whenever you were writing on them, but we had those. So I'm like, and you know, a desk popping out of the ground, out of the floor kind of thing. Like, I've seen fold-up desks kind of things. Like, I don't think it's too much of a... It's also
there to track your attendance.
I could see that, too. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Because for being shown later in the show, there is an instance where a character doesn't show up for class, and it shows, like, absent in the place where their desk would be.
Yeah, I think... But to be fair, like, a lot of this stuff is like stuff where I'm like, okay, I've seen things like this in my world. It's like, it's not like too far of a leap to think this would be a thing in a couple years, like maybe a decade or something. And it like, despite its magical nature, Madoka Magica seems like a somewhat futuristic show. Yeah. So
you say a little bit. You say a decade, and it has been a decade.
It has been a decade.
It has been a decade. Yeah.
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 I don't know. What are the schools like in Japan? Maybe they've got there. I don't think the ones in the US are ever going to be that nice. But
no.
I could definitely explain the bookcases because it's made by Shaft, and my friends.
Oh, they love their bookcases.
Well, yeah,
they love their bookcases and they love their chairs,
and they also love their head tilts.
Oh my god, the head tilts! Like the one that sticks out to me was that Homer one in episode 4, where she's just like, "Yeah, you better stay that way," and then she walks off. Good head tilt.
Yeah.
I feel like there were other ones. I think Mammy had a good head tilt while she was like running around episode 2 killing familiars and stuff.
While we're still, I guess, on the topic of art and animation, I think my favorite like thing about Madoka, like overall, has got to be the labyrinths.
Oh yeah,
like
so cool.
Yeah, those are good.
They're so just like wild, and I definitely like. I love all the little like cutout looking like features that they have like in the show. It almost kind of reminds me of the show that I watched when I was even younger than that, which I probably shouldn't have been watching it because it's pretty gory. But it was called Red Garden.
And I don't think I've seen that one.
And it was like maybe I don't really know why exactly it reminds me of that, besides like I think it was just like because they had like a almost kind of like a different like parallel world going on in that show as well, like kind of similar to the Labyrinths, and it just reminded me of that. And so I think the first time I watched it, I was a bit like, oh, like nostalgic, but also like this show did it a lot better, like Madoka did. And it just looks so cool, especially like, you know, the one for the hospital, like the hospital labyrinth in episode 3 is like gotta be one of my favorite like scenery pieces from anything, basically, for sure. So yeah, I was like definitely enjoying watching that one because I was like, oh yeah, here's like the little like, you know, nurse looking aides, like familiars, and all of the candy and sweets and stuff that was like around, and all the polka dots, like, and you know, that's my favorite witch. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name.
Go ahead. I was just dead already.
But
yeah,
I mean Charlotte. God, that's my favorite witch.
We should mention they all have names, but they're in this like weird witch script that's like they show, and like I know that there's like a translated alphabet thing there. It's like sort of like a more bigger fan thing, I guess, but
I do actually remember, like, I had a good bit of that alphabet memorized, like, when we had first watched this, because I wanted to know what all of their names were, so I went through and did a little bit of translating, because it does pop up not just for their names, but for, like, sentence words here and there, like, occasionally throughout the show, and I was just like, I just want to understand what's being shown on the screen that I can't read. Also, we had a weird wall with a lot of German writing on it at some point.
Yeah, so much meticulous detail.
Yeah. But, yeah, it was... I can't remember what all of their names were, but I did have a good number of them. Like, I was able to at least, like, get their names. I don't remember all of them now, but I'm pretty sure the Madoka Wiki probably has them all up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
But, yeah, Charlotte. Ugh, so good.
I will say the witch designs are definitely a thing here that I do like the most. Because it's so weird. Like, not just, like, the art style for them itself, but also just, like, the designs are just so different because we got, like, these walking, like cotton plants is the only way I will describe them, because they're like cotton plants with mustaches, and then they get weird eyes and mouths.
I love
teeth.
Those. Those are so
They're
cute.
so weird. And then you get
like, I made
the first... What?
No, I was like, I made a joke, like, that got cut because of copyright shit.
Right.
That, like, it's like a Terry Gilliam nightmare. I'm like, or a wet dream or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it does look like a Monty Python animation thing if you're, like, having a bad trip of acid or something.
Wait, you got copyrighted for saying the word?
No, I got copyrighted because the whole section in the Witch Lair, Sony was
With
like,
the
no,
music.
that's ours. Don't touch it.
Yeah, with the music.
No, it was the visuals.
The visuals.
I never get taken down
really?
for music. I always get taken down for visuals.
Weird. It's usually the other way around.
Wait, does
Nope.
Sony own?
Sony owns Aniplex.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Interesting. Anyway, but yeah, so the one has, like, slime with a stomach and roses and scissors and butterflies. It's all just so weird. And then Charlotte's just basically like a giant snake with, like, puffy pigtail wing things. I don't know. And then, like, a party hat for a nose.
Definitely looks like something out of Cuphead.
It does! It really does!
Yeah.
Honestly, like, that whole little boss fight with Homura kind of reminded me, like, of a Cuphead animation while I was watching it. It was like, huh, this looks oddly familiar, and I can't quite place it, but now that you've said that, yeah, that is exactly what it looks like. But yeah. I like how there's not really a whole lot of, like, excessive, like, transformation scenes in this show as well. Because I feel like in Magical Girl shows, they have, like, some really long transformation sequences.
Yeah, that's a padding thing. They do that. They do the same thing in, like, Power Rangers and Digimon and a whole bunch of stuff. It's to pad out the episode.
Yeah.
Plus,
But
you can
here,
just
like,
reuse it, so you don't actually have to animate new stuff.
That's true. But I feel like they don't really use it a lot in this show, which is nice. So.
I think they know people are there for the story, and, like, I think because there's, like, such a limited series, like, they really, like, put detail in everything. Like, they didn't really... I think they, like, were smart about it, and they knew, like, we have 12 episodes, we got a budget for that. You know, we're not going to be doing, like, 100 episodes where we're not sure, like, what we're going to need for later on, so we have to skimp here and there. Like, yeah, so I think that might be why we like, have such good animation that's not, like, recycled a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk anything about, like, world build or anything? There's not a whole lot to go into here, other than, like, watch out for Faustian bargains.
Watch out for Faustian bargains. Kind of, like, the whole thing with, like, witches, soul gems, magical girls. Like, I feel like it all kind of gets explained.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't all get explained in these episodes.
Yeah, there's always, like, more detail to it. But I feel like, for overall, it's a pretty basic thing.
Yeah.
You get magic powers, you get a soul gem, you fight witches. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say for art and animation, I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. I think the backgrounds, the character designs, they all look unique. I've never seen a show that quite captures Madoka's aesthetic yet, especially when it comes to the labyrinths. I don't even want to know what the animators did to try and get that animated for, a 2011 budget. So I will say for the most part everything looks good. I will say I noticed some kind of wonky animation and some kind of wonky lip flap animation, but for the most part I think it holds up still pretty well 10 years later.
Yeah. They don't really move their mouths whenever they're talking, despite the fact that they're brushing their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. But, whatever. What should we talk about next?
Music.
Yeah, the sound and dubbing. Or sound and voice
acting.
Talk about
either. It's the same thing. It's the same category, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I watch sub, so...
I watched dub.
Yeah. I watched the dub.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who watched the sub, so...
Envy, you watch sub or dub?
I watched the dub this time.
Okay. How does it compare? Can anyone talk about that? I have not seen this thing subbed in a very long time, because, I know this, this is my second time watching this, but I've, watched each individual episode, probably, 8 times a piece now, just scrubbing through all this stuff, and I do use the dub episodes for my main source stuff, because I just don't feel like cutting out sub stuff. So, I don't know for sure how it compares.
So, I feel like they're fairly decent, dubs and subs. I don't really feel like one's more superior than the other, but that's also just because, I don't know, I'm not particularly, angry about how either one of them sound. The soundtrack and score is mostly what I love about this show, as far as, sound is concerned. The music's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's one of my favorite composers.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah,
Yuki Kajira?
Yep.
Yeah!
Yep.
She's one of my favorites. I love everything she does.
Yeah, I watched the dub, and everyone else sounds really, really good. I like all the characters, except for some reason, I don't know why, but I kind of felt like Madoka's mom in the dub was a little miscast. I feel like she doesn't sound... She sounds the same age as Madoka, if not a slightly bit older. She doesn't sound... I don't know, she sounded weird to me, but otherwise that's the only complaint I have with the dub. And yeah, as far as the music and the sound effects, it's incredible. The way that the action goes with the music, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with Madoka's mom's voice. I think she's just kind of youthful.
Yeah.
Which I think works for her character for the most part. I liked everybody fine. I didn't love QB's voice, but I think that's just a result of every small creature has to have this cutesy.
Well, funny thing about that though is that I'm playing Persona 5 Royal right now, and it's the same voice actress that voices Morgana in that game.
Really?
It's literally the same voice. And every time I hear Cube speak, I'm just thinking of Morgana and vice versa. So it's just funny for me.
You know what's kind of funny? Me and Yin watched Blue Exorcist. I talked about this last couple weeks. We watched the rest of the series. Madoka voices a girl named Shammy.
Yep.
Who didn't show up in the section that we watched yet with the Shonen Showdown, but she is very much a Madoka character, and she's oh, I'm the innocent one, and no, I cry because blah 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 blah. And,
wait, really? That's the same voice actress?
It's the same voice actress in the dub.
Oh.
On top of that, QB's voice actress eventually plays a giant fire demon
Ooh.
in that show. And there's also another demon who attacks Shammy, who is voiced by Homura.
Oh.
And it's like it wants to eat her or something. I don't know. It's obsessed with her. It's weird.
Yeah, the voice actress for Kyubey
is... just a couple weird parallels with the voice actors.
Yeah, the voice actress for Kyubey is Cassandra Lee Morris. The voice actress for Homura is Cassandra Lee Morris. And Homura is Christina V.
Hold up, wait. So, are you saying Madoka and Kyubey are the same person?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Madoka is Christine Marie Cavanos. I'm sorry, I got their names confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's pretty decent. If I was not able to tell that, I can usually tell.
No, yeah, I got that confused.
Pretty well.
She's also Mako from Kill la Kill.
Yeah?
Madoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
have my jokes about that. No, yeah. I think everyone did pretty well. I like the music and all this. Anyone else have something to say about that?
Not really.
What, because I feel like, well, we can talk like openings and ending stuff. More than anything, I want to know, like, what did we think about, like, the first ending? The bait and switch ending?
It's exactly that.
I don't remember, like, listening to that, like, ever.
Like I said earlier, it's a perfect bait and switch because it also played into the trick they were trying to do, at least, for those that felt with the trick. It's like, first 2 episodes, you think it's a slightly darker, Sailor Moon type show, and you have a cutesy ending, and then they already played Magia for, like, the beginning of episode 1, and then, like, throughout the episodes whenever there was a big fight, but then when you get the big twist, and then Homura just storms off like, yeah, so what? She's dead. And then you get that ending Magia, which plays throughout the rest of the series. That's when you know the twist. That's when you know the show has turned. That's when you realize, oh shit, this is about to get all. This is badass now. This is like, we ain't turning back now from this dark turn. So I think it works well.
The Magia, like, the song is cool, but, like, also on top of that, the animation for it is very simple, but very, like, good. It's very compelling. Yeah. Like, everyone's, like, in silhouette shadow, ghost, like, will-o-wisp kind of things, and, like, just Madoka running into the darkness, and then, like, being the at the center of an eye of, like, what we assume is a witch. It's like, okay, what are you trying to foreshadow here? It's like some shit's gonna happen.
Every year the anime subreddit on Reddit does like a best opening and ending tournament, and this year Magia won best ED.
I could see that.
Interesting.
I could definitely see that. The opening. What about that one?
I mean, I will say at least for both of these songs, I definitely love them both. Like, as I've said, I love all the music for this show, but I do particularly love their OPs and EDs. Claris, the J-pop duo that actually sang this, Alice has since left because it's a group of 2 singers, one named Clara and then one named Alice. Alice has since split off, so it was just Clara, but they've got someone else to replace Alice. Her name is Karen. And basically now those 2 are a duo, but they've done a remastered version, I want to say, of Connect, which is this opening song. It's not bad. I will definitely say that I do prefer the original version better, mostly just because, I don't know, it sounds a little different, with a different voice singing the song, but I don't know, personally when I first heard this song, like, it's just one of those songs where I'm like, oh, this is different. I definitely really love this opening. Even though it kind of doesn't really feel like an opening. It's not like a hype opening, but I guess, like, this isn't really like a a shonen show. This is more like a magical girl show, so I feel like the standards for openings and endings for what they should be are a bit different. Especially because the epic number is your ED. So, I don't know. I'm kind of in the ground of, I love both of these because they're just so iconic at this point.
Yeah, I love Magia as a song. I love Calafina as a band. I was so mad when they disbanded a couple years ago, but yeah, I love both the music and the visuals for both the OP and the ED. Yeah, the OP is kind of one of those things that kind of, tricks you with, a lot of the cutesy visuals, but at least when I watched it on Funimation, they translated the lyrics, and the lyrics, when you actually read them, actually matter a whole lot to a lot of the dynamics that's going to come out later in the show, particularly with Homura. So I think in that sense, the OP kind of makes sense for what it is. And also, I think the song's really good as well, so.
Yeah.
I think I had something else to say, but I can't remember.
Can't remember what.
What I was going to say.
Oh. I was just going to say that they're both really good, the opening and the endings. And I have, I don't know, I think that it's one of the best anime openings, in my opinion, that, I've heard, and I've watched, my fair share of anime. Probably not as much as Envy has watched in the past few years, but, I've been watching anime since I was, 9. And, yeah, I don't know, it's, definitely up there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Good. Oh, right. Did anyone else notice that, when Madoka was listening to the headphones, that it was the theme song?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do that a couple of times in this show. They do, use it elsewhere. So it's interesting to think that her theme song is basically just a pop song in her world.
Yeah.
It's kind of like...
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of makes me... Well...
It's like JoJo endings.
I'm trying to... Well, yeah... I guess.
Well, you see, JoJo
EDs
are
it's like a CW show or something.
I was going to say, JoJo EDs are basically real songs that Araki just loves, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole show is just his playlist.
Yeah. I mean, when you name characters after bands that you like...
Yep.
Yeah.
How can it not?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do we talk about next? We just wrap it up in final thoughts or something. We got more of these coming next week, so I don't think we have to put every last pin on what we have to say about Madoka today.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll just say that it does a really good job of getting you set up for, the overall tone and atmosphere of the show. And obviously, normally we would have watched up to episode 3, and then that would have been a hell of a twist to end on. But episode 4, you get introduced to Kyoko. So what's she going to bring, especially considering that she's going to threaten the other magical girls? Well, at least Sayaka. So what will happen?
So excited.
Who's Kyoko?
What?
So excited.
Who's Kyoko?
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah.
QB technically said her name, so.
Did he? I did not notice.
I don't know. I don't remember if he said her name or not, but...
Well, I mean, I'd like to watch this again for next week.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
If we have to.
If we gotta, Yeah, this is a good show. This is a good intro.
Yeah. It's a good show, for sure.
Yeah.
I will say, how about this?
I don't think I have a lot to say.
Let me ask you this, Gav and Chibi. Obviously, you guys have watched, maybe not a ton, but you guys have watched other magical girl shows before this one.
Yeah.
How does it compare to stuff like Sailor Moon or the other one that you watched?
How does it compare to Tokyo Mew
Tokyo
Mew?
Mew, yeah.
I mean, in contrast, I guess, to the other shows, I will say, I guess even I would say part of it has to do with its target demographic. because Tokyo Mew Mew and Sailor Moon, as well as other magical girl shows that I've watched, like Mermaid Melody, Magical Do Re Mi, and God, like
Winx
I would
Club.
say even Winx Club, Utena. Well, maybe not Utena because Utena's
That's a
meant
little
more
bit
for
more of an adult
older
show, I thought.
audience. The audience is definitely for typical shoujo, like Maho Shoujo shows. The typical age range for the demographic is 12 to 17-year-old girls. This is a show that was meant more for 18 to 30-year-old men.
Aha, that's why we're allowed to watch it now.
The thing with this is just the fact that anything that would appeal more to a teenage girl, you're not going to necessarily see here because they're diving into a lot darker themes, considering this is a show meant for adults. This is not meant to be a cutesy fun time. This is meant to basically, and I usually will describe Madoka in this way, because this is kind of what it reminds me of, considering how both Madoka and the protagonists of this other show both kind of like react at the very beginning, sort of like, of the show is kind of, I describe this as like Evangelion a little bit, mostly just because Madoka kind of reminds me a little bit of Shinji, mostly just because this is a protagonist who is very much sort of passive at the beginning. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me and just kind of like I watch them sort of within like a time span sort of close to each other. So, maybe that's why I compare the two of them a bit. But, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Gab, your thoughts?
Compared to like other magical girl stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely not similar at all to Magical Do Re Mi.
Oh, yeah.
That's very much like child level, story.
I don't think we ever watched that one, did we?
No.
No.
And then Tokyo Mew Mew, I mean, it does get, like, darker towards, like, the end, but, like, it's not anything like this. And then with Shugochara, which I guess counts as, like, magical girl boy-esque.
It does, for sure.
Show. That one was, like, one of my favorites when I was growing up. That's a lot lighter too, even though it's supposed to be like darker in like areas, like aspects of it. It's still like pretty lighthearted. This is definitely the darkest show before they came out with Magical Girl Raising Project.
Yeah.
But Magical Girl Raising Project was definitely influenced by this show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
What I've
Definitely
heard.
this and, like, Danganronpa.
This, Danganronpa, Battle Royale in general, and also, I will say, Pokemon Go. Like, that is all just kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was...
At least, with the phone game.
I don't know if I'd compare it to Pokemon Go, but...
Well, I guess even just, like, the graphics for, like, the little game that's on the phone itself, at least in the anime, kind of reminds me... Okay, maybe not necessarily of, like, Pokemon Go, but it reminds me a little bit more of, like, the Kingdom Hearts mobile game.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, you have your own character, and, like, you go around and you, like, collect candies, which is kind of like the Lux in that game.
Yeah.
So, I guess I would kind of compare it a little bit more to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that came out around the same time or even before Magical Girl Raising Project came out.
I have no idea. But, yeah, Magical Girl Racing Project is definitely, I think, a lot more violent than this.
Mm-hmm.
But Madoka was, like, one of the first, like, to take on that darkness out of the magical girl, like, genre, even though I guess it doesn't really fit in that genre, but you know what I'm saying. But God, that's Racing Project's one I remember.
No, I remember it too.
I still
I
want
haven't
to
seen that one yet.
I still want to cosplay from it, but
I do too.
one day.
One day.
Didn't get nearly as much traffic as it should have.
Yeah, the thing is like, I feel the fact that it's a light novel series kind of is a bit of a detriment to it, because
Yeah, for sure.
while we do get light novels like published by the manga publishing companies over here in the States, they're not like as readily available as manga itself from those companies. And also it's just like, when it was at its peak, when it was like airing, I would say it would probably have been a lot easier to find the light novels. But now, like, I've even gone searching for the light novels. I can't really find a whole lot of them anywhere. But that's mostly just because you get bits and pieces of different arcs of the story just kind of like on sale on Amazon, and I'm like, where is the rest of it?
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
That doesn't make it easy to stay invested in a series.
No.
I think I have some of them on, like, Google Drive.
I might just need to get them on my Kindle
Yeah, me
and
too.
read them that way.
Yeah, I plan on doing that at some point. I keep telling myself I'm gonna read them, and then I'm like, oh, I'm reading other stuff. So, but yeah, for sure, this is, like, definitely not like other magical girl anime unless you're comparing it to Raising Project, but yeah.
I think people would compare Raising Project to Madoka.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
You go that other way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more like that.
Very true.
I mean, like, the
So,
mascot is basically Kyubey and Monokuma from Danganronpa, just,
That
like,
is-
combined.
that is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's another magical girl anime or mangas that I think could also be compared to Madoka a little bit.
What one's that?
Magic
I-
Record.
Oh.
Not that one.
Well, yeah.
Except that is connected to Madoka, obviously. But
I haven't seen
it's-
Madoka. Not connected yet.
But another one that is a little bit of a darker magical girl show. It's more of a horror, sort of. It's Magical Girl Apocalypse and Magical Girl Sight, which those are like sort of interconnected series, I think, from what I remember. But they're both pretty dark. I read a little bit of Magical Girl Sight, and it was just a little bit of it. It was super dark from the beginning. I was like, oh, I am not for this at all. Like, I can stomach a lot of things, but that I was just like, I don't really feel like I'm gonna enjoy myself reading this series. So I immediately dropped it because I was just like, this is not gonna be a fun time, especially in the headspace that I was in at that point. So
Had to go back and read Mew Mew after that.
no, I didn't go back and read Mew Mew. I think what I did at that point was I read the next volume of Sailor Moon.
Dude, I want them to dub the second season of Mew Mew. I wanted to see what that would have been like.
Oh,
Let's...
you'd have to get one of the companies to license it. The thing is, you wouldn't get the same voice actors anyway.
Oh, I
So.
wouldn't.
You wouldn't have the same.
Makes me sad.
You wouldn't have the same
We
quality.
need to bring 4 kids back.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm gonna...
You bring
I
4
mean-
kids back with like a vengeance, and they can be like the asylum of anime stuff.
I'm adding this to my manga list.
What is?
Magical Girl Sight.
Oh.
You want to have a bad time. I don't know whether that's a bad time or not. I can't speak to that at all.
Same with Magical Girl Apocalypse. This, like, first volume cover is just like, whoa.
Yeah. Like, the cover art's very, like, cool and interesting, and I honestly think, like, the cover and the premise were kind of what drew me in to Sight in the first place, but I couldn't do it. Maybe I'll try to go back to it later, but not right now.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like all around we're good to go for another 4 of these episodes
Hell yeah, we
of
are.
Madoka. Let's get into the real meat of the series next week with episodes 5 through 8. Any other things we want to talk about before we head out?
Not really.
Nope.
Alrighty then. Well, we'll see who this mystery character is who's apparently going to show up and be a big thing next episode, and a whole bunch of other stuff is going to happen. You know what happens. You've all seen this show already. You better have seen this show already. I don't know why you're on this channel if you haven't. Anywho. Come back, watch more Madoka with us this next week, and we'll talk about it and give you our thoughts on things. There's things coming up that's going to be interesting that we weren't able to talk about today, so... Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!